On today's show, it's, it's been a while, guys. It's been a hot minute. It's been pretty chalky too. Nothing too exciting. We have some conference tournament play coming up. We have some new top tens. We've got some fun conference tournament picks. All in the next, hopefully, 40 minutes. We're going to see what happens. So, without further ado, let's start the show. Welcome to an episode of Sitting Courtside. Today is Tuesday, March 5th. And if you haven't noticed, he is risen. Go get these shirts right meow. Support, really not us, because honestly, I don't really need a single dime from this. Go and support Hungry Hippo with these fire shirts. You can have these. He is risen. Have a fun Easter shirt. Have a fun, I don't know, basketball shirt you can brag to your friends about. Go get shirts. We'll drop the link to the website. I don't even know if these are on the website. Message the hell out of her. I don't know. Go get them. Get them, get them, get them.
All right, and also while we're in the promotion business here, let's also go ahead and promote that March Madness Bracket Challenge is back. So we have set it up on ESPN. Our group name on ESPN is Sitting Courtside Brackets without the apostrophe after the end. If you were in it last year, you can just rejoin it again. I'll let you rejoin the group there.
Yes.
So yeah, go. It's completely free to play, and the winner will get a Sitting Courtside gift package. As long as you message me. Last year, the person they got first never ended up messaging us. That was on them. That's not on us.
Damn.
I reached out on Twitter. I posted multiple times on Facebook and stuff. So that's on them.
Yeah. Honestly, you know what? We don't even need to try. If you don't want it, don't message us.
Yeah,
We're not messaging
exactly.
you. However, that does bring up another point. This is already gonna be a long show, and I'm getting off topic. How many people did we have last year sign up for it?
65. We had 65 last year.
Okay. What was our goal? Our goal, I think, was 50, right?
Yeah.
Our goal was 50, then we had to bet for 100. Okay. 65 last year. Let's shoot for 75.
Yeah.
If we get to 100, we will discuss what me and Kyle will do.
Okay, perfect. I like it. I like it. But yeah, as Jordan said, this is a very loaded episode, so we will try to get through everything that we have listed on the rundown. Here we mentioned it was a pretty chalky weekend. We only had 6 ranked teams lose this weekend, and all of them but one lost to other ranked teams. So not really any major upsets. So we're just going to go through a quick recap of just the big results that we saw. But we will start with the one upset that there was, at least on paper, or like by a spread. It was a upset. We both gave away this as a win. Dayton, they go down to the Loyola 78-72 on Friday night. I think the bigger story here, though, is watching this A10 tournament play out. It's going to be wild. It doesn't start until after this week, but right now Richmond leads at 14-2. Loyola's second. Dayton is third. Dayton is the only at-large team that has any hope at an at-large bid. Loyola and Richmond need to win the tournament to make the NCAA tournament, but I think all 3 of these teams could be dangerous based on their matchup if 2 or 1 of these teams get into the tournament.
Yep. I think if you're the A10, you definitely want 2. Which means you definitely want Dayton to probably make the championship game, so you guarantee the at-large, and then whoever they play to beat them. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun tournament. It's gonna be very fun.
Yeah, for those that haven't watched Richmond, they've won 13 of their last 14 games. They have 2 easy games this week, so they will probably be the 1 seed. But I mean, I've been very, very shocked by Loyola because we watched them early in that season.
Oh yeah,
early this season in that Barstool game, and it looked like they were going to have an awful year. So their bounce back has been pretty impressive.
Yeah, full turnaround. They went from can't score to kind of can score.
Kind of can score. All right, I think that the biggest statement of the week was actually what Tennessee did. They have 2 top 15 wins from last week, starting with a win at home against Auburn earlier in the week, and then a place where nobody really goes in and wins. They took down Bama on the road Saturday and really kind of cemented themselves, in my mind, as the 4th best team in the nation.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And honestly, that was a classic revenge spot for Alabama at home. You've got a lot of hype behind you. Didn't show up. I will talk more about that later in the show. No spoilers, but Tennessee. Good job, Tennessee.
Very impressive. On the other end, a big injury happened this past week as Tyler Kolek, the star guard for Marquette, goes down on Wednesday with an oblique injury. He misses Saturday's game against Creighton. Creighton beats Marquette 89-75, but it did come out today that Tyler Kolek will miss the rest of the regular season and will be reevaluated before the Big East tournament. They're can't go anywhere with him. Like he is their star. They need him. They played really well against Creighton, but again, they lost by 14. He's the straw that stirs their
Yeah.
drink. Like he is their man.
Yeah, they actually were in that game for quite a while. They just couldn't finish it out, and I think that's what
Yeah.
happens, and that's what you're going to notice when you get into the tournament.
Mhm.
Some of these teams that you've been watching a lot, let's call Alabama, right? Like
Mhm.
they don't have certain players performing; they are in trouble quickly.
Yeah, let's hope he's back because this guy, absolute stud, and would make the tournament, both the Big East tournament and the NCAA tournament, much better.
Very much so.
A team that's been dead to you for a while, Kansas, they fall again, this time to Baylor. And with 2 tough games this week, they are going to have a hard time even getting a double bye in the Big 12 tournament. I know they were preseason like number 1. They looked good to start the season when they did beat Kentucky, but this Kansas team is just not the power that we're normally used to seeing at Kansas.
Dude, they didn't even cover. They had
Yeah.
a 7-point spread, didn't even cover. They're trash. They're terrible. Anyone that believes in Rock Chalk Jayhawk is literally drawing with chalk because he can get erased instantly.
Yeah, and speaking of them, they continue. Or speaking of injuries, they continue to have to deal with McCullers playing in, out, not playing as many minutes as normal, playing just first halves of games. Like it's a mess right now if you're trying to bet on Kansas.
Yeah. Also, I had an epiphany over the weekend while I was watching them just like suck at everything in life. Big man in the middle. I don't know what Hunter Dickinson. He's a classic San Antonio Spur. Like he's going to be a Spur, 100%.
That would make sense. Yeah.
No one else will draft him. That's all he's good for.
And they'll like put him next to Wembanyama, and you're like, these are 2 incredibly different human beings. Right?
Yes. Like these, you can't convince me. These both play basketball.
Yeah. So true. One that neither of us saw coming this weekend, though. A huge surprise win. Gonzaga gets a road win, helping their at-large chances, winning 70-57 at St. Mary's. They were up double digits most of this game. I doubled down on St. Mary's at halftime when they were down double digits. I'm like, they're going to make a run and come back in this one. Gonzaga just basically whooped them from start to finish.
You know what's interesting? I think I may have mentioned this either episode or 2 episodes ago. Gonzaga is kind of coming around. Like they have the guard play. They always have leadership. They've been under the radar, which is kind of where they want to be. I could see them sneaking themselves into like an Elite 8 because they are kind of a bad matchup for everyone.
Yeah.
So hate to see St. Mary's go down, but Gonzaga, sneaky. I may or may not have said that just to maybe get cursed. No, I didn't say that though.
It could work either way for that one. But yeah, I mean, Gonzaga, what about a month and a half ago, they were like in the 5th seed in the WCC. They had no chance at an at-large.
Yeah.
Now they get the triple bye, so there's basically only have 1 game where they can get a bad loss. They basically just need to win that game. That locks up at least an at-large spot, and then a rematch probably against St. Mary's in the championship. On
that note, I'm going to save us all about 87 minutes because I think we've talked about this multiple times. The conference tournaments that do that, where it's like the flag.
Yep.
Insane to me.
Yeah.
Insane. Like I get it, but also just like why?
Yeah.
Terrible. It's terrible.
Like they're just trying so that their best team doesn't get that loss, the upset loss. They don't have like an 8 seed coming out of their crappy tournament.
That's 100% what it is. Like literally, go look at the bracket for everyone. Just go look at that bracket. He said triple bye, aka Gonzaga wins like 2 games, they win the tournament.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. All right, then the only other game I really wanted to note was another top 25 battle, South Carolina. Very close game. It was back and forth. Florida had the lead most of the first half, but South Carolina did come out with the win over Florida, 82-76. And I really am going to, I feel like, be betting these teams a lot the rest of the way this season. I like both of these teams. They both play hard. They both, I think, pretty good on both ends of the ball. So I was pretty impressed by the showing from both teams here.
Yeah, no, I think both of these teams you need to circle yourself on for tournament play because they both also have chances to hit Sweet 16 depending who they get matched up with.
Yeah.
I was impressed with South Carolina. I think I said it on the last podcast. They needed to win that game for me to be convinced. I think I did take Florida though to win that game. No, I took Florida to cover the spread. But yeah, good for both teams. You cover it.
So that's really all the recap, even though we only had 1 show last week. The week was very blah, as we kind of mentioned going into that podcast anyways. But we are now headed into the last week of the regular season for the big conferences, but there are some smaller conference tournaments this week. And so I just wanted to touch on these, what to like watch for, what teams to pay attention to, so that if these teams do come out of their conference, you'll have like a better knowledge of what going into the actual tournament, what these teams are. But we gotta start with probably the only team that has an at-large chance in these smaller tournaments, and that's of course our boys at Indiana State. Their tournament starts March 7th. They do have a bye. Their first two games will be considered quad 3 or quad 4 losses, so they need to at least make the tournament championship to have an at-large chance. They'll play 8 seed, then a 4 seed probably. How do you? Our team's kind of got it back on track recently. They stumbled up there at 2 games in a row, but they start to look like they're playing better again.
No, I'm still on the train. They're gonna come in. They'll be like a 13 seed, and they're gonna beat whoever they play in the first round, and that's a fact. And it'll probably bite us in the butt, and it'll be like Tennessee or something stupid, which that would be impossible. They're gonna play a 4 seed, so they're gonna play like Auburn or something, and it'll be like, really in Atlanta.
I've already seen like some of like the early projections right now. They have them as a 13 seed, and I keep seeing Duke being put as a 4 seed. And I'm like, just please do not put that as the first round.
That would be like your worst nightmare.
I know, it really would.
That actually happened. Was that 2 years ago that happened to? I think it happened to me.
I think so.
Yeah, it was. We were huge. It was maybe last year. We were huge on South Dakota State, and they got paired with Providence.
No, that's right. That is right. Yes.
We were like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. Like these are two teams we're going to pick no matter what. And then, of course, they face each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really hoping when Duke gets a win Saturday against North Carolina, then they can avoid the 4 spot, and then they can get a little bit better seating there. But yeah, Indiana State, I think right now you would have to consider them in, but they really need, if they're going to lose, it needs to be to Drake in that championship.
Yeah. And I think even if they take out Drake, they might move up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. The next one I wanted to go to was the CAA tournament, and I really wanted to focus in on College of Charleston. They have won 9 straight, and they are a really deep team. They have 9 players playing 15 or more minutes. They're a top 50 team in pace. This also looks like if they win they're not going to be an outlier, but if they win their tournament, they're projected a 14 or 13 seed, and I think this is one of those where it'll be a very popular play as an upset pick, which is how deep and how well coached they are.
No, I love watching them play. They're a very they're the type of team that we always talk about. Like they deserve to be in, not. And I'm gonna hurt some people here. Not like a Rutgers, not a Northwestern, not a Nebraska. That College of Charleston needs to be in over those schools.
I completely agree, and I feel like we're on this on the same boat every single year. We always agree on this. We don't need the 9th or 10th best team in the Big Ten. That's already crappy to get a number one of these actually good mid majors.
Yes.
All right, let's move to the Ohio Valley. I know not a lot of people looking at this conference, but they have 4 14-4 teams. Yes. All these teams come into this tournament streaking too, all on win streaks. Morehead State, UT, Martin, and Little Rock are those 3 teams. Morehead led most of the year until a late skid where they lost 3 in a row, but they are by far the highest team ranked in Team Bumble. If you know anything about Morehead State, you can go back to the Kenneth Free days. They always play very slow. So they could be a little scary in the tournament if they have a bad start to a game. UT Martin, opposite. Very fast team, one of the top 10 teams in the nation at pace. I don't know which team's going to come out of this. Can't say I'm an expert on these teams. But I do think, again, whoever wins this conference is going to get a 14, and some people are going to like them to knock off somebody in the first round.
Yeah, I will list up you now. Morehead State needs to be your pick. I've been on them for quite a while. However, to what you just said, Kyle, sometimes you find, this is more on the betting side, sometimes you find yourself like minus 8.5 in them, and you're like, I don't know if they're going to win by 8 points. Yeah. They're going to control the game the entire time and win by 6.
Yeah.
Which does make it scary, but I think Morehead State's the better team in that conference. And I don't care if UT Martin wants to run up and down the floor. Morehead's got the better defense. They're going to play solid defense. They know each other. This would be like, by then, this would be like the 4th time they've played each other too. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then the next 2 I was going to move on to, these are 2 teams that should win their conference tournament, and they almost always do. So if they do win their conference tournament, probably do some research, start looking into them, because that's Colgate and Vermont. They're easily number 1 seeds in both of their conferences. They should be able to get through their conference without much trouble. And if they do, again, we're talking a lot about these 13-14 seeds, the classic upset spots. Both of these teams will have close to 30 wins if they win their conference tournament. And again, 14, 13 seed, those are the ones that make the upsets in the brackets.
Yeah. Fully agree.
All right. Probably the best small conference team not named Indiana State, and that's Samford. They look to win the Southern Conference. They are 26-5. They play one of the fastest paces in the nation, and they've won 26 of their last 29 games because they did start out with Purdue and VCU to start out 0-2. Their three best players all shoot 42 or better from 42% or better from three, and their team overall shoots 40% for three. So this is a very dangerous team. But again, they must win their conference tournament to get into the NCAA tournament.
That is just a classic team that wins a day one tournament game at like 3:30 in the afternoon, and everyone is crushed.
All the perfect brackets are gone real
Also,
early.
they call me crazy. That sounds like just the perfect matchup for like Kansas. Kansas always finds a way to blow it.
Yeah.
Always. If
Well,
they can't, go ahead.
okay. I was just saying, I don't think I think these teams have kind of played their way out so far, like of a good seed like Wisconsin and Virginia. But if Samford got to play one of those
Oh,
slow
yeah.
teams that can't
Yeah.
score, I would love them in one of those matchups.
No, the first team I thought of was Virginia. I was like, they would wax Virginia by 35.
I think they'd be favored in that game. I really think that
Maybe.
they would be favored.
Could you imagine actually? Think about just the trajectory that we went here where what if Wisconsin just won 2 or 3 more games? They may legitimately had to have played Sanford.
Exactly.
Now
Well,
Wisconsin maybe gets a 9 seed if they're lucky.
yeah. Please don't give us like the 7-10 game of Wisconsin versus Virginia. Don't make us do that.
You know what? I'm gonna go the opposite. I hope to
You
God
want
they
it?
give us that game because guess what? That means I don't have to watch one of them the
I was
next
about
week.
to say you can take off one of the games.
I guarantee I don't have to watch. Also, could you just imagine how grueling that would be?
Yeah.
Also, I want them to make it the primetime game. Make it the 8:30 game.
See, I was thinking even something different. I was thinking making it like the Friday night last game of the night for like the first round.
Oh my
So then
God.
like you're chasing the first 2 days already, and then that's what you have to go to bed watching.
That would be torture. Like 12 o'clock at night. They're playing in like Sacramento.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God. He
The,
scored halftime
only
score 11-7.
yeah, the only people in the stands are the one seed that played the game before and just held over to watch. Oh man! All right, the Sun Belt 2-team race here: Appalachian State and James Madison. If you go back to December, James Madison was once undefeated in the top 25. Everybody liked them. Whichever team gets in there will likely actually be a 12 seed, I think, in this one. And a favorite to be an upset in round one. Appalachian State has won 15 of their last 16 games. As I mentioned, JMU started the season undefeated, went through a bit of an issue in the middle of the season, losing 3 of 5, but then have now won 10 in a row. The thing with JMU, though, is they've only lost 3 games all season. 2 of those losses, though, are to Appalachian State. So that might be their kryptonite. I would actually, again, this is another one where I want both teams in, but we're only going to get one, and I think one will be a popular upset pick.
Yeah, I was about to say that they both need to be in. Honestly,
Really
it doesn't
do.
matter what happens if they'll play each other in a championship game. Like they both need to be in.
Yeah, completely agree. And then this one's obviously not a small conference. We've already talked about it a little bit, but is it a foregone conclusion to you? It'll be Gonzaga versus St. Mary's in the tournament, the WCC tournament.
Just because of the way it's designed, yeah. I always like San Francisco. San Francisco to make a run. Santa Clara can make a run.
Yeah.
Those are 2 quality teams. But yeah, the way it's designed, it's going to be those 2.
Yeah, it's like this would have been the year to like give hope to like the 3 or the 4 seed, but Gonzaga's just playing out of their mind right now, and St. Mary's has only played 1 bad game in the last like 2.5 months. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's move it back to one of our staples, and let's look at our new top tens. We didn't have a lot of movement, so we don't have to go too deep into this, but I did have a few new teams in my top 10, so I thought we should go ahead and go through them real quick.
This will be our last top 10.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last version. 14. Version 14 for anyone that's keeping track at home.
The last version. Who you got at number 1?
All right, I'm actually going to go brackets here. Ready?
Okay.
I've done it by clearly top teams in the country. Houston, UConn, Purdue.
Okay.
The next 2 teams I think have separated themselves from the pack, but they're still below. So 4 and 5, Tennessee, Iowa State.
Okay.
And then rounding out 6 through 9 in any order. This is any order. I think these teams are legitimate teams. They've had some bad losses, but it's always against quality opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Baylor, Arizona, Marquette, Creighton.
Okay.
Right. And then for number 10, this is pick your poison. I don't trust a single one of these teams. Alabama, Auburn, Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina.
Okay.
Every single one of those teams could win the tournament, and every single one of those teams could get upset in the first round. I don't trust a one of them.
On any given day, they can look like the best team in the nation, and on most days, they do not look like a team you can give trust at all to. So
Exactly.
So our top five is in some kind of order the same. I have Houston, UConn, Purdue, Tennessee, Iowa State. So nothing there really. I'm actually a little more confident in number 6. I would actually group Arizona with Iowa State. So my top 6 would be rounded out by Arizona. And then after that, it's just pick one of like the 8 teams that you mentioned. I have it North Carolina, Marquette, Duke, Baylor. I didn't drop Marquette that far just because they don't have Kolek. I don't really give that big of a boost to Creighton because they won without Kolek on the other team.
Yeah. So I want to jump in real quickly on that.
Yeah.
I actually had Arizona up there with Tennessee and Iowa State, but for some reason, I just keep having this lingering, like, they do not start games well.
Yeah, they don't.
And because they don't start those games well, that scares me if they were to play like a Baylor or a Marquette who can score with them. They would lose that game potentially by 20 points.
Yeah.
If they didn't do that, they'd be up there with Tennessee and Iowa State.
And I think what's honestly happened with me here with Arizona is that I haven't really needed to watch them because they haven't been playing big games because the Pac-12 stinks.
Yeah.
And so I haven't had to rely betting wise on Caleb Love in like 2 months. So like, now I know I'm going to go into March and like pick them to go to the Final Four. And I'll be watching like them sweat their first round game. And I'm like, fucking Caleb Love. I forgot about that.
Again, though, so you may have the Virginia effect here, where like they didn't do super well last year in the tournament, and they play super fast, and they are super efficient. Maybe this is the year the mashups work for them. I don't know, but like again, they cannot play another team that runs fast if they're going to start slow because you're beating a dead horse to death at that point. They're going to run up and down with you. You're not going to make them tired magically. Like, sure, if they played a Virginia, we'll just keep throwing them out. Yeah, they can be down 16-2, and they will probably come back because all it takes is a couple runs, and there you are. So
and it'll take Virginia at least another 20 minutes to score 16 more points.
Probably.
Yes. All right, so nothing too big in our top 10s. Let us know if you guys like that idea. Say if you want us to bring it back for next season. But instead of picking games, honestly, the weekday games up till basically Saturday are kind of either in flux because of the small tournaments, or there just aren't really that solid of matchups because obviously a lot of the rivalry games are this weekend.
Yep.
So instead of picking the games for Monday through Thursday, I thought we could just basically pick who we think's going to win the regular season of these conferences. Like there's still some conferences that are yet to be decided. So the ones that are decided already, though, of the big conference tournaments is the American. South Florida has won the American regular season, kind of a shock there. I think they now come on to the at-large screen here. I think a little bit more push for them to make it as at-large if they don't win the American conference tournament. But what do you think of South Florida so far?
I think they're a solid team. They're a team I think that can go far. They kind of remind me a little bit of FAU last year. Like they have good guard play, they have the leadership. That's what you need, and they've been consistent. I think that's the biggest thing. They've been consistent the entire year. So yeah, that's where we'll leave it. I honestly, they probably won't make the Sweet 16, quite frankly, if we're gonna be honest. But again, there's a possibility, always a chance.
They were absolutely disrespected on Saturday too, as well.
Oh my God.
4.5 point dogs. I took that money line as soon as possible. I saw that against Charlotte.
Yes. I literally thought that was gonna be a trap. I'm like, no, they don't. There's no way. They just don't know what they're doing. They have not watched.
Yeah, exactly. And then the only other big conference that's decided, obviously, Big East. UConn has won that one, and especially with the Kolek injury, I don't see much stopping them in the conference tournament. All right, let's move it to the ACC right now. As we sit here today we are recording on Monday. It's 9:30 Eastern. Duke just won, so they are now a half a game behind North Carolina. I think we can already count North Carolina's next game as a win. They play Notre Dame at home on Tuesday. So basically what we have here is Duke's going to be one game back going in to their game against North Carolina at home in Cameron Indoor. Do you think they split this conference title, or do you think UNC wins it outright?
I think I'm going to go with the split. I think I'm going to go with the
Split up.
split because at this point, there's got to be a mild revenge factor for Duke at this point.
Yeah.
After what went down the last few years between North
Mhm.
Carolina, like they need this
Yeah. they do.
bad, bad, and they're both very like both these teams think they can win a national title. Like Duke's got to show up; they've got to win that game to at least get the split.
I obviously super biased here if I actually agree with everything you said. Duke, I said it at the end of the last podcast. Their guards right now are playing absolutely amazing. Yes, Caleb Foster did get hurt. That was their fourth guard that they have, but their top three are just playing out of their minds right now. In the last couple of games, we've seen a lot more of their freshman center. His name is escaping me right now, but he's number 13, really athletic. He played great tonight against North Carolina State. And I actually think with Foster being out, they're playing bigger lineups now. They're playing 3 guards and 2 big men, and it's actually been working out. I think it'll be a very high scoring game against North Carolina.
Yes.
But I do think Duke at home with that place going crazy senior night, I think, and it's going to the last home game for a lot of these Duke players as they will be going pro. So I do think Duke gets it done at home against North Carolina. So they split their regular season title.
Also, North Carolina's just been so inconsistent on offense for the last month.
Yeah.
So inconsistent. Hard to trust them.
And they sometimes just go to where they just let RJ Davis do everything, and it's just 1-on-5 sometimes, and that really won't work against a quality team.
Correct.
All right, the Big 12, Kansas, not in contention here, as I mentioned earlier, but Houston leads the conference by 1 game. Iowa State a game back of Houston. The only 2 teams in contention to win the Big 12. We have versus BYU and at Kansas State for Iowa State, while Houston has at UCF and against Kansas to round out the season. I'm going to go with Houston to take this one. I think that home game against Kansas, Houston will actually play really well there at home, close out the season, and I think Houston wins the Big 12 tournament and ends the regular season as the number 1 overall team.
That's a toughie. Can they tie?
Iowa State would basically have to go 2-0, and Houston would have to go 1-1.
I'm going with a tie. I'm going with a tie.
Okay,
It's going to be a split. It's going to be a split.
Do you think Kansas takes down Houston, or is it the look-ahead game at UCF where Houston loses?
Don't really matter. They're going to lose one of those games.
Okay.
They're going to lose one of them.
All right, I like it. All right, the Big Ten kind of have something similar here. Well, actually, Purdue leads by 2, so they already have a split of the conference championship, but they do have a 2-game lead on Illinois. They have to go to Illinois on Tuesday. First off, who do you think wins that game right now? Ken Palm has that projected. Give me just a second. As Purdue to win by 1, so we're going to have a pick 'em in this game. It would seem.
Nice.
And if you do think Illinois wins that, how do you think it plays out? Do you think Purdue actually goes 7-2?
Let's help you out here. Purdue wins the conference by multiple games again.
Yeah.
To take out Illinois. Illinois, I don't think is a quality team. I've been saying that, I think, for 2 weeks now. Purdue, really, if they didn't have some of these hiccups, and I'm starting to think that maybe they are the most quality team in the country. It's just the Big Ten might actually be such dog shit that they're lulling themselves to sleep sometimes with these games, because you watch them play some of these quality teams in the Big Ten, and it looks like they're playing a different game sometimes. Like I think they win by multiple games again, which will be probably the first time ever that a team has won back-to-back years by multiple games, because last year wasn't like the first time or the third time ever in conference history that a team had won by multiple games.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. I was just actually having a conversation at work with somebody about how I don't even think Illinois I've kind of said it all season. I don't really think they're even that good of a team. They're just a little bit better than average, and that makes you look really good in the Big Ten, because I don't think any other team, with Barry being out for Northwestern, with how Wisconsin has fallen off a cliff, I don't think there's any other team that deserves actually to be in the tournament other than Purdue and Illinois. Obviously, they're going to get a lot more bids than just the 2, but I don't think Illinois is even in the same class, even at home, close to Purdue. So I not only think Purdue beats Illinois on Tuesday, but I also think they whoop Wisconsin at home to finish the season. And they win by at least 3 games in the Big Ten.
Yeah. You say that now. I know we're going to be running on time here. Like, son of a bitch. I'm trying to pull it up now. How many teams do we actually think should be in the tournament? Well, out of the Big Ten. First
Yeah.
off. Northwestern has 20 wins. Nebraska's got 21. Nebraska's 18-1 at home. Holy shit.
Yeah. And 2-8 on the road.
All right, I will give them 4 teams probably should make it in based on their record. But if you went off of the eye test, only 2. And I could see as many as 9 getting in because it's the Big Ten.
Yeah, like I think Northwestern's resume deserves it. Just without Barry, though, they're just a one-dimensional team. It's just buoy the entire time. They're not playing as like the tournament quality team right now, but they'll get in due to what they've done before he got hurt. And then for some reason, man, I don't know, but the Net and KenPom just love Michigan State so much that they're not even a bubble team, but they're 17-12, and I just don't think they deserve to be in. But
no,
everything seems to be telling me I'm wrong on that one.
Yeah, Nebraska's the other one that has the record to get in, but 18 of their wins are at home. You don't play the tournament at home.
Yeah. I'm not going to trust them at all in that first round match when they're not playing anywhere near Nebraska. So
yeah. So,
and just to just update this right now, it was updated Monday before Monday's games. Joe Lunardi had the Big Ten having 6 teams in the tournament right now.
6 too many.
Yeah. All right, let's move it to what normally is our favorite conference, but I gotta be honest, from my betting perspective, it has not been my favorite conference to bet this season. The Mountain West,
Yeah.
5 teams in contention. Just go right now, just like we do at the Big Ten, pull up the conference standings because I don't want to go through the entire conference standings. But we have 5 teams in contention, and none of those 5 are New Mexico or Colorado State that we've been backing for most of the season. So who do you like to take this one? We got Utah State and Boise State currently tied atop, and then 3 other teams 1 game back.
Well, you know that I took Boise to start the season because I was like, who knows? And it's worked out well for me. So I'll stick with Boise. I'm just going to keep riding the Broncos. And yeah, this conference should have minimum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that get in.
Yeah.
At a minimum.
That's what Lunardi currently has. They do have both Colorado State and New Mexico as like bubble teams, though. So they need a good showing in the tournament. I will also go with Boise State. I bet them the last couple times they've played and really liked what I've seen from them. Though I will say they have a pretty difficult schedule this week. They play Nevada, who's also another 11-5 team, and then they end it at San Diego State. So, with that being said, I'm going to switch my pick live on air right now. I'm going to go with Utah State because their schedule's light.
No, that's a loser mentality. You got to have faith, buddy. Faith. You don't even know Utah State's playing, do you? They're playing
at
San Jose State and New Mexico at home.
Yeah.
Well, you know. Well,
I think we've talked about every single Mountain West team this season besides San Jose State.
I mean, well, let's see here. Yeah, I don't just say, are they even in that conference?
Yeah.
San Diego State's 1 game back.
Yeah.
Okay. Nevada doesn't stand a chance. Who's UNLV couldn't have a worse schedule. What, Nevada? Wait, is it that your boy? Doesn't he coach Nevada?
Steve Alford.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
he does. Yeah, he does. If I was just trying to get you going, I'd take Nevada, but I'll stick with Boise. I'll stick with Boise.
Well, that's probably the most fun race I would say we have this week. So stay up late each night that they're playing because these games I'm looking on ESPN don't start till 11 o'clock.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 8 o'clock local. You know.
Yeah. All right, we go from a fun conference to a boring conference. The Pac-12, Washington State.
No one cares. No one cares. We're both taking Arizona. Let's move on. No one cares about the Pac-12.
All right, we'll wrap it out here because obviously Washington State plays a road game, or it only has 1 game, and it's at home against Washington. So basically, do you think Arizona wins both games? That's basically what it comes down to. But it doesn't really matter because those teams are both locked into the tournament.
Yep.
The last one on our list here, the SEC. We have Tennessee. They have a 1-game lead on both South Carolina and Alabama, and they have 2 more huge games after their big week
Yes.
last week. They're at South Carolina and versus Kentucky to end the season. Does South Carolina take down Tennessee to make this thing very interesting going into the weekend? How do you think this one plays out?
I'm gonna just for the fun of it take South Carolina. I'd love to know when the last time South Carolina won the SEC
Yeah,
tournament or
that
won the
is a-
SEC conference regular season. It's
Yeah.
gotta be. If I was a guessing man, it either was like early 90s, so we'll go like 28 years ago, or like 75 years ago. It's
Yeah.
nowhere in between.
I was about to say, can't even guess because like I don't ever remember South Carolina being relevant, like or at least like title contending relevant. I do think Ken Palm doesn't give them much of a chance to take down Tennessee. Actually, on Wednesday they have them as 6-point dogs at home. That place is going to be rocking. It was awesome watching them against Florida at home. I give them a puncher's chance to take down Tennessee. I don't think Kentucky is going to go into Tennessee and beat them on Saturday. So I think it's definitely at worst Tennessee's going to split with these teams. But I'm definitely going to take the points with South Carolina on Wednesday. So I'll have fun with you and also go with South Carolina to at least get a split of this conference title.
Okay, guess what? I just found Budro.
Would you find?
Last time the Gamecocks, South Carolina won the SEC. 1997.
Wow. Okay.
Look at that.
I was 5 years old, but I can understand why
They
I do
went-
not remember.
They went 15-1 that year for a 24-8 record. 15-1 in the conference, 24-8 overall. Pretty wild.
So let's root for them this week. So now you guys got all your rooting interests for the week. So that's all we have on the show. We will be recording another one later this week. So we'll actually give some real picks once we have some of the lines, some of the matchups for the weekend. Give some of those conference championships some love as well. Go follow us on Twitter. I'm at Kyle Cliffy. He is at Mingo Made 1. We have all of our picks. Obviously, it's a huge week right before awesome championship week next week. Check back often on Twitter. We'll talk to you on Friday, and best of luck with your bets.
Love you guys.